Yo, what's up? I just came to get on, talk about a couple of things. Yeah, man, God is times is hard, life is hard, but God is awesome. You know, I um I be going through it every now and then. Got a couple of issues, couple of health issues. You know, but God has a plan through all things. I remember, when things got bad, the doctor said certain things. But hey, at the end of the day, God has the final say. They counted me out, but you still get weary at the time. I've had blood clots for 12 years now, going on 13 years. And I'm used to working my whole life. At the time when I developed blood clots, I was 27 years old. I had a daughter, a girlfriend that I really was, but I was working. I had two jobs. Actually, when my daughter was born, I actually had three jobs that year. I was working at a school, and I was working at a warehouse overnight. Job I loved doing, throwing stuff around. Um, and then I played football on the weekends. I bounced on the weekends. I was doing a lot. My life was full. I was the head of security of a high school, so I was inspiring kids. I was doing, those type of things, and I'm gonna be doing some more scopes of, trying to teach suburban teachers how to teach urban kids. Because I was the balance. I talk about balance all the time. I was the balance between them and the kids. Um, they didn't really know how to get to them, so sometimes they just would do things wrong. So, some of them just was coming in to get a check, and they always got waved off. The kids never really respected them. But anyway, that's another subject, another topic. And let's talk about this scope. Times is hard, life is hard, but God is awesome. And so, like I said, let me get back to it. It's been 12 years, and it's been a lot of ups and downs from the beginning. I remember the doctor told me, he said, "You are not going able to be able to do half the stuff you're doing." I was 27 years old. I was strong. I probably weighed like 100. I'm not 100. I was weighing like 250 pounds, mostly muscle. Um, and I was a workaholic. I was moving. I was doing. I was doing. My job. It was. My life was fulfilling. I had a child, so it was totally fulfilling. I had just had a child. I was in good shape. I was making good money. I worked hard, but I made good money. I was inspiring kids. I had left the streets alone, started working at a school, became the head of security of a high school. The doctor was like, these blood clots developed out of nowhere. Like, I was sitting in the house one day, and my leg just. I looked at my leg. It was like I felt it so much pain, and then I looked at it. It was like 3 times the normal size. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Almost lost my mind. So no lie, let's talk truth. I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, who was my daughter's mother, I said, listen, go to the store and go get me a pint of Hennessy. And she started yelling at me. Oh, why would you do that? That's probably why your legs like that. I said, whatever the doctor's gonna tell me, I need to be in a relaxed mode when he tell me, because this ain't nothing light. I mean, I'm not a dummy. I know, you know, poor circulation relates to a lot of things that's concerning the heart and blood issues. I knew it was something that wasn't anything light. I was healthy. I was strong as an ox. I knew it was bad, and I just was like, I don't want to deal with this in regular form. I need to, I need to be in another world. I need to be relaxed. I need to be. So that's what I did. And then I went to the hospital, and they told me, the doctor was like, listen, Mr. Gardner, you have blood clots. Um, but they're not the type of blood clots people get that just go away. You have recurrent blood clots. Like, yours are never, they're never gonna go away. And the reason is because you have overly thick blood. You have the disease of a 60, 70, 80-year-old woman. Your blood is thickened, and when your blood thickens, it clots a lot. So I was like, so what does this mean? He was like, well, you gotta take blood thinners for the rest of your life. It causes a lot of other complications. You, it's very dangerous because clot can move to your brain, and you can die. or be paralyzed from a brain aneurysm. You can get a stroke if they move to your heart, or a heart attack if it moves to your heart. They can hit your lungs in the main artery part, and you can lose your life from that. Like, so I'm like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, so what are these blood thinners are gonna do? Like, it's gonna thin your blood, but the clots are still gonna be there, but it's gonna be a lot less if your blood is thinner. But they're not gonna go away. No, they don't. They're not gonna really go away because you have overly thick blood. So now I have what you call DVT, which is a clot in your leg. Which DVT is, for an average person is nothing. Excuse me. For the average person, nothing DVT. But I don't have a DVT. I have multiple DVTs. I have clots in my legs now. They're in both legs. It's 12 years later. I've had so many complications with work, going up and down. There's been times I had to stop work. Through this whole process, this doctor was telling me, you're gonna basically have to quit all these jobs. You're gonna have to stop playing football. And I ain't nothing he said. I ain't listened to none of the stuff that he said. I was actually playing football for 3 more years, working like that, like a dog for years. And it just, over the years, like, it just got worse and worse and worse. And there's times I had to be out of work because I couldn't work. And, I was working on and off. And so in 2015, long story short, I went to DR with a girlfriend of mine. She was from London. I met her at the airport. It was one of my jobs. I met her at the airport. We hooked up. She told me she likes to come back and forth to America. She did. We hooked up. Then we met in DR. I had an awesome time. But on the way back, I needed oxygen. And it was crazy because I've never been without air. I've always been very long-winded in a lot of different ways. Physically, mentally, and spiritually, I've been very long-winded. But physically, like, I always was in shape. Like, I used to go to the gym and run for 20 minutes, 10 minutes, or do a couple of miles. And before I even got into my real workout. And I don't know, I needed oxygen. And I calmly told, the stewardess I needed oxygen. She was panicking. She wanted to land. Oh, I got to tell the captain on the plane. No. I just need a little oxygen. I'll be fine. Came home. I never told anybody. A week later, I was on my way to work. I was working at another school. I was a teacher's assistant for special ed and autistic kids. I was working at a school, and I was a teacher's assistant for special ed autistic kids. I love this job. I love working with these kids. I love working with kids. Always have. Inspiring them, encouraging them to do good. I never met them. I never allowed them to operate at their level. I never allowed them to operate what people say they are. I always taught them and pushed them like they can do better, than what your IEP says, or what they say about you, or what they have written about you in your files. I always pushed them to do better. I always challenged them to do better and do more, and especially with God. And, I always push God on them. I used to go to my classroom. I used to anoint the class before the class got there. A lot of these kids have spirits in them. Yes, and then some of them may have bad spirits, and some of them had straight demons. And I attacked those head on too. But yeah, and I was on my way to work one day, and I'm a naturally strong person, so I know it's hard to keep me down. So I felt it when I woke up. It was just everything was coming down on me, but I kept pushing like I always do. Like, I don't call out of work. If I call out of work, it's a problem or it's an emergency. And I just kept pushing. I kept pushing. And then once I got to this train station, eventually, it was like, it felt like it was coming down hard. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to one of these stores. I'm going to get me an iced coffee, a large iced coffee. Take me a couple of sips, get that caffeine in my system, and I'm ready to roll. I got to get to my kids. And I went in there. I ordered my iced coffee. I came out. I took one sip, and it felt like my whole body was shutting down on me. I had extreme pain in my lower back. I was losing my vision. My equilibrium felt like it was off. Everything was just shutting down. and I'm still trying to push. I took a bigger sip of the coffee. I'm trying to walk. Now I can't walk. Like, the pain in my back was so excruciating that it was bringing me down to my knees. So I finally made it to this level platform, you know, where the escalators were going down, and a cop must have seen me struggling. So he ran down the escalators. I got onto the platform, and that was it. Like, he called the ambulance. He's like, I seen you struggling. What's going on? I was like, I don't know. And it just, everything started coming down, but they had to call the ambulance. Escalators going up was broke. I already went down one set of escalators. I felt bad for the paramedics, because at that time I was like 300 pounds, close to 300 pounds, a lot of weight. And they had to literally carry me up, and they did. When I got to the hospital, it was crazy, you know, because even when you're at your lowest point, the enemy still come to stick a spear in your side at your lowest point. And I got there, and one of the guys, he was a Chinese guy, I believe. He was of the Asian descent. And he came in with another woman, and he's sitting there and he's laughing. He's like, you have blood clots. And they're all in your lungs. And they're all in your legs. They're all over the place. And he was chuckling. And I really didn't understand it. And immediately I wanted to snap and just jump up and punch him in his face. But God came over me and was like, don't. Just don't. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him. And the lady, and she's of the Chinese descent too, or Asian, and she's looking at him, and she's like she just gave me like, what are you doing? And she just walked away from him. She just walked away. And then he walked away. And later on, and I was feeling really low, I'm like, what? In my lungs? Like, I had a filter put in me 12 years ago. So even if clots get through, big ones couldn't get through, just little ones. But, you know, anything can happen, because it's not 100% either. And doctor came to me and he was telling me, he said, you know, and right before the doctor came to me, you know, I had a breakdown. I had a serious breakdown. Like, you guys telling me like I could die any minute? Like, these clots are, he didn't tell me I had 1 or 2 clots in my lungs. He said these clots were covering my lungs. And then the doctor, and then I just had this serious breakdown for 45 minutes. I just broke down, and it was like, I'm in this hospital and I can die right now. I could die in the next 5 minutes. I could die in the next 10 minutes. My whole life, as long as I live, if I live long at all, period, I'm not going to know anything. It's just at a drop of a dime, I could just go if one of these clots hit the right spot. And I just broke down. I just let go. And for about 45 minutes. And then I thought about it. I'm like, if God wanted me dead, I would be dead already. This is going to be my testimony. I'm going to get through this. Yeah, I might have to take this raggedy medication for the rest of my life, but I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be a walking testimony of life. That's what I'm going to be. And from right there, I was enlightened. Like, you're a child of light. You're a general for Jesus Christ. You're a soldier in the army of the Lord. Like, you're not going nowhere. You're just a walking testimony. And you're going to help expose the enemy and his devices and his strategies for who he is the rest of your life. Then the other doctor came in, the second doctor came in, and he was telling me, he said, Mr. Gardner, I don't know what to tell you. He said, you got clots all in your lungs. They're all in your legs. Your clots are everywhere. He said, usually, you know, you get 1 or 2 clots. People come in here with 1 or 2 clots, and in less than a week time, they're gone. He said, I couldn't even imagine how many clots you have in your body. I couldn't phantom. I wouldn't be able to count. He said, I don't know what to tell you. I said, you don't know who my father is. All the fear and being afraid, all that stuff went out the door. It went out the door. But what started to happen slowly to surely, I'm not able to work. I'm applying to, I've been applying to disability applying to welfare and trying to get Medicaid so I could try to take care of myself, take care of my child. And it's been rough because I haven't been able to work. And, you know, welfare treats you like an addict because I have to have some type of food or stamps or cash. And this is what I do. I've been applying to them. But they treat you like you're an addict. They treat you like you're worthless, you're low, like you are nobody. You know, I'm not an addict. I don't do drugs. I'm not an alcoholic. Like, you don't got to treat me like this. But that's how they do. That's how it are. That's how they are. They don't care that I've been working since I was 13 years old. 2 and 3 jobs my whole life. You know, they don't care about none of that. They cut me off Medicaid. This is what, the 3rd time they cut me off of Medicaid. I have a medical emergency. They're not supposed to cut me off of Medicaid. They cut me off. And, you know, I've been feeling really, really down and low, on and off, up and down, up and down. I mean, for the most part, I'm an upbeat person. I'm alive. I'm lively. I still encourage kids when I see them. I still encourage people. I counsel a lot of people, you know, friends, family members, give them spiritual counseling about God, like, you know, and, you know, because I've read the Bible, so I understand a lot of things. And I tell people all the time, God connects all the dots. You may not see it, you may not understand it. You gotta, the Bible tells us, pray for his wisdom. When you get to a point where you don't understand, pray for wisdom, not your own wisdom, but pray for godly wisdom so you can understand what's going on. And we'll never phantom what God is doing in our lives. We can never see what God sees. Our ways are not his ways. We don't think the same way as he. But at the end of the day, the more you solicit him, the more you seek his face, the more you get understanding. And you'll start to see the world for who it is. See, the thing is, once Adam ate from the tree of life, he was blinded. They were blinded. They were not only blinded, they were aware of certain things. Oh, we're naked. You can see that you're naked. How do you know that you're naked? God asked him, how do you know you're naked? And he know. That's why I asked him, do y'all eat from that fruit of that tree? Because, see, knowledge is not real power. It's a power, it's a force from the opposite side. Wisdom is what we need. And there's a difference, and I'm gonna do a scope on this too. I mean, there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. There's a big difference between wisdom and knowledge. You can know a lot, but not live that life. Wisdom is knowing and the doing and the godly knowing. The placement of God in your life and what he has and why he does certain things. Because we look at certain things like, what? Why am I losing so much? Why is this? What's going on with that? And why am I feeling like this? And why am I have to go through that? And it's the wisdom of God. Sometimes God put us through this pruning process to get us to become diamonds, because coal is ugly. Coal is harsh, but it has to go through a process before it can become a diamond. Before we can become the lights of God, we have to go through certain processes. And, you know, sometimes I'm human. We're human. We get down. And sometimes, you know, I'm a man. I worked my whole life, and now I can't even take care of my own family the way I used to at all. I just had to reapply for benefits. They didn't want to give it to me. They didn't want to give me the Medicaid. I eventually got it. They have to give it to me, but I'm still fighting to get the cash and the stamps, and I worked my whole freaking life. And, you know, they gave me a dumb excuse. They said, oh, because you live with somebody. Well, who that's on welfare and Medicaid, who don't live with somebody? Because if I could afford to live on my own like I've done before, I wouldn't need this. I don't even want it. I have no choice. There is no other way. While I'm seeking disability, because, you know, that's a process too. They already denied me once, so I got to apply again and get a lawyer. And they, even with them, they deny you 2 and 3 times. Because people abuse these things that they don't even need. Nothing's wrong with them. You know, you got so much poverty, but you got so many lazy people too. They just don't want to do. They don't want to work. And this is not me. Like, I don't want this. I'd rather go to work. I'm a worker. I've held number of titles. I've done a lot of things in my life. I'm 39 years old and I've done so much. And I never just went to a job and just did the average. No, I always became my boss and my boss's boss. I've been supervisors and managers and directors, and I've done that. I've never went to a job and just worked like the average man, because my grandmother always taught me, the man paying you $1, you work like you make $1.50. I just always been taught that. But surrounding my family members, my uncles and my aunts and my father, they never been people who just go to work and be in a regular position their whole life. Oh, I work here for 20 years in the same position. No. Every one of them have had people that have been promoted, and that's what I look to do. I've never been in a position where I just stand in one position. And then I try to get more into the school system because I'm good with kids. So, but, I called my grandmother today because I was feeling a little heavy. It's a lot going on, besides the fact that I can't work. But my mom just died December 12th. So I'm still dealing with that. And I can't even explain it. It's like people die and it hurts, people that you love. My mom dying is like the biggest hole in my heart that can't get filled. And I just thank God today because I called my grandmother, and this lady is 88, 87 years old, and she just has incredible strength. It's my mom's mom. She actually called me on Mother's Day to see how I was doing. She's an incredible woman. She's a strong black woman. See, the Bible says the prayers of a righteous availeth much. And she's such a strong black woman. She inspired me. She had 12 kids. She raised all her 12 kids, for the most part by herself. Excuse me. For the most part by herself, because my grandfather died when I was 8. When I was 8 years old, my grandfather died. And he was a great man. My grandfather, I was 8 years old. He was teaching me how to mix cement at a young age. He's like, boy, you strong. Good. Keep mixing that cement. And that's what I was doing. My grandfather came from down south, and he was building houses all over the place. We're from Jersey City. And him and his brothers came from down south, and all they would do is build his house. And I was coming up like, yeah, I want to learn how to do that too. But he ended up dying when I was 8, and I never got taught the craft, even though I had a couple of construction jobs here and there. I never was taught to do how I could do some stuff. I've done some demolition construction. I've done certain things, but like I said, this scope is excuse me, I don't know, I got this tickle in my throat. But God is good, man, because I was feeling low for the last couple of days, like really, really low. It was wearing on me, and sometimes you just don't want to read no more. Sometimes you just get tired of praying, and like my grandmother said, sometimes you be wanting to pray and you just cry. And and I just been feeling really low. And I called her. Actually, my intent was to call her to see how she was doing, number one, and to see how my uncle was doing. My uncle is not doing too well. He had I think a light stroke or something like that, and he's not walking, and he having issues. I called to check on him, and my grandmother actually turned my phone on. When I called her, no, she called me because my phone was off. She called me on Mother's Day to see how I was doing. I think I said that already. See how I was doing. So we talking and laughing, and I think everything fine, Grandma. Yeah, I'm all right. First Mother's Day without my mother. Trying to inspire me, and then we got off the phone. Then she ended up calling back. Like, your aunt's gonna put your phone on for me. So she told my aunt to put the phone on, and she just inspired me today. And we was talking about God. Just trust God. It's rough because I'm not used to depending on nobody, but technically that's exactly what I have to do. I have to depend on other people. And I'm telling her, Grandma, I'm not used to this. People, I'm used to helping people and taking care of people, my family and friends and whoever needed, if I have it, type of thing. And I'm not used to being in this position where I have nothing, and didn't have to deal with these people who treat you like trash. It's a little rough. So, but she inspired me. So, I'm gonna get back on the horse, the faith horse. I'm gonna just keep my head up, And it's crazy because, my fiance, she's a great person. She's a credible woman too, but I can tell it's wearing on her too. Like she got to do everything. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. She got to do everything by herself, and I'm not used to this, and it's like it's hard to accept, you know, like it doesn't get no easier for me. I've been out of work now for almost 2 years, and it doesn't get easier, you know, because this is not who I am. This is not my character, you know. And most people don't mind not working. I know a lot of people who don't mind, and they're lazy anyway. I think I'm about to get off this scope because I'm this tickle is bothering me. The enemy trying to get to me, but stay in coverage. Stay in coverage, people. No matter what's going on in your life, stay in coverage. It could always be worse. God is still on the throne. Excuse me. God is still on the throne, no matter what. Stay encouraged. It can always be worse. Keep your faith. Keep the faith. Keep pushing. We need faith. You know. Just keep praising. Keep praying. Keep praising. Keep lifting him up. And everything will be all right. I just have these bad coughs sometimes. You know, I got issues. The clots that were in my lungs caused me to have asthma now. I can't breathe sometimes. Sometimes I'm sleeping and I can't breathe and it wakes me up. And it gets frustrating and it's hard and it's rough. And this world ain't no easier because they're going to shovel more crap in your face. You know, like I said, when the enemy knows he got you down, he gonna kick you. He's ruthless. But that's all right. He got to do all that because he know he only got a short time. And we got the victory. We got the victory. And no weapon formed against me shall prosper. The devil can do all this stuff to me, but he can't kill me. That's what God said. You can do whatever you want to him, but don't touch him. You can't kill him. You can take his health. You can take his mother. Hey, he's going to keep taking, but he can't kill me. He's going to keep trying to hurt, but he can't kill me. So stay encouraged. And this right here is a dog tag. You know, chain. I always wear a dog tag when my father was in the service, and I'm an army brat. So I always been, in my head, a soldier. You know, so now I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. And continue to keep inspiring. Like I said, you know, God is awesome. Times is hard. Times are going to get harder. If you read the Bible, if you read Revelation, times are going to get harder. They're going to get more strategic. They're going to get more crafty. You just get deeper in God. You know, the armor of God. Ephesians chapter 6, put on the whole armor. You know, after you've done all to stand, put on that armor. Don't worry, the armor is dipped in the blood. So you'll be fine. And we remember, at all times, we got the victory. So stay encouraged. Stay encouraged. Times is hard, God is awesome, but be the balance. Be the balance that the world needs. The world is already bad. The world is already ruthless and it's going down. But we have to be the light to balance out the darkness. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be the light to balance out the darkness. So do it. Be the light. You know? Watch the trickery of the enemy. Watch the trickery of the enemy. Be the light. Continue to be the light. Continue to shine a light, you know? And I try to encourage people all the time. You are who you are at your worst time. In the heat of the moment. That's your true character. You know, it's easy to be good and do good when things is going good, when things is going right. It's easy to be good. It's easy to do right. It's easy to say, oh, I don't have an attitude problem no more because nothing's happened. But in the heat of the moment, you are who you are. So continue to be humble, you know, and the Bible even says charity covers a multitude of sins. So always be giving, always be loving, not just charity with money, because some people will give you and not love you. They'll give you so you can stay away from them. But give charitably your love, give charitably. If you have to give and you can bless somebody, bless somebody. You know, if you have the spirit, the gift of healing, heal people. That's what Jesus did. You know, he healed people, he saved people, you know. And sometimes, you know, he told people go tell it, and then sometimes he said, just go your own way. Don't say nothing. Just do this, do that. Jesus was strategic. He was strategic in all that he did as well. Sometimes he seen the enemy coming. Sometimes he fled. Sometimes he fought. Sometimes he exposed. We gotta operate in wisdom. Operate in wisdom off the light. Sometimes it's not good to say things. Sometimes it's good to be quiet and listen. And then sometimes you have to say things. Sometimes you have to pick people up and inspire people. It's all about the balance. And always listen. Always listen to people older. Listen to people with wisdom. Listen to everything. Watch everything. Keep your eyes open. The Bible says, be wise as a serpent, but harmless as a dove. And I'm going to end that there. Be wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. I love you all with kingdom love. Remember, keep being the light. Keep inspiring. As long as you got breath in your body, keep pushing. People going to say you this and people going to say you that. People going to misjudge you, but God knows your heart. Be truthful in all your ways. Girt your loins with truth. That's one of the pieces of the armor of the Bible. Girt your loins with truth. Loins is like the belt. It keeps everything together. Truth keeps everything together. Tell the truth no matter what. Give people truth. Give people light. Point people in the right direction, and do your best to try to live holy and live righteous and be, good in the sight of Allah's God. Let God come out the sky and tell you, this is my son, my daughter, who I'm well pleased. You want to hear that from him. Good and faithful servant. You want to hear these things from, God. Always be a servant. Jesus served. Blessings, kingdom love. Stay up. Be real, be positive. Lift each other up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, love everybody. Black, white, Chinese, no matter what. Love. God doesn't have a color. People say, oh, Jesus was black, Mary was black. That's beside the point. That's beside the point. That's not going to get you into heaven. Even if he was, and he probably was, but that's not going to get you into heaven. Your heart is. Jesus knew our hearts. He knows our hearts. Disciples, he read their hearts. The Sadducees and Pharisees, he read their hearts. So love everybody. Don't be an accuser. Be a helper. Be a light. Bring light in the midst of this darkness. Be the balance the world needs. Love y'all. Peace out. Keep checking in.